Hey all, welcome back to my channel Tech Advice from MD. Because of the huge request from your side, today I have come up with a new series of mine which is Python. I will cover both basic as well as the intermediate Python also. Right? One by one all the videos for all the topics of the Python will be uploaded. So you have to stay tuned and wait and watch for more and more videos. Thank you so much. Happy learning. Okay, so let's begin. As I already mentioned that this tutorial is for both the beginners as well as the intermediate. So I am going to start from the very basics of Python, right? So introduction to programming language and the Python. I will start from the programming language, then I will go to Python. So for this series, this is the first video. For this video, my agenda is programs and the programming language, compiler and the interpreter, compiler or interpreter. What is that? Let's see. Python introduction, bytecode, virtual machine, and the main of Python. So only this portion we are going to discuss on this video. Right? So first, let's begin with programming language. So what is a program? Nothing. Program is some set of instructions given to the computer to do some particular task. Right? For example, I am telling you to make a cup of tea for me. So what you will do? Right? First, you will boil some water, then you will put sugar, then you will put the tea leaf on that, then we will boil that, then we will put it into the cup and then we will bring it to me. So this is the instruction which I have given to you and you are following that instruction to give me a cup of coffee. Tea. Right? The same thing applicable to the computer. So program is nothing but a set of instruction that a machine follows. Programming is to make the machine work. I ask you to follow some instruction, you are following some instruction and you are working something, right? Same thing. We are going to give machine some instruction and machine is going to work on those. This is what is a program, right? A programming language is a formal language is comprises a set of instructions that produce various kinds of output. So whenever I am giving you some instruction, so I have to give you an instruction in some language, either maybe in English or Hindi or any other language, right? Same thing. If we are going to give instruction to computer, then we have to give them in some language and those are called the programming languages. Right? But now here is a problem. Do you think computer will understand your language? Or what is programming language? In which language the programming language is written? This is also a question definitely is coming. Right. I told that programming language is a language which actually comprises the set of instructions. But those set of instructions are written in which language? Definitely in English language. Right, because this is the worldwide acceptable language right now. So definitely we are going to write the instructions in English language. But do you think that computer will understand English language? No. Computer will understand only one language, which is called computer's language, and that language is called the binary language, which is 0 and 1. So whatever I want to tell the computer, I have to tell in 0 and 1 language. But is it possible for every single person to know 0 and 1 language or the binary language? No. Right? Then what to do? Just simply take an example. You went to some other country other than India. They don't know your language. China, Japan, France, whatever. They don't know your language. You don't know their language. Right? So what you can do? How to solve this problem? Some intermediate, maybe nowadays Google is available, interpreter is available who can interpret the languages, so no problem. But something you need to convert their language to your language and your language to their language. Right? So that we call as a intermediator. In computers world, those are called as a either compiler or interpreter. The difference I'm going to tell, but both are almost same. See, a compiler or interpreter is a program that converts the program written in high level language, which is in our language, English language, into machine code understood by the computer. the language which will be understandable by the computer only. So compiler or interpreter, they are converting your language to machine language and machine language to your language. Fine. Now, both are same as they are also saying both are a program which converts this. Then what is the difference or what is this? Right. So definitely it is coming to your mind that what is the difference between the compiler and the interpreter? Right. So this is the next point. What is interpreter and what is compiler? Right now, interpreter and compiler in a table format I given. Interpreter translates the program one statement at a time. So interpreter is also converting your statement to machine language and machine language vice versa. But interpreter is doing is it in a line by line. First line, so whatever you have written, it will convert the first line. Then it will move to the second line. Then it will move to the third line. Whatever you are writing, what we are writing, that is a different thing. We will see all those things later. Whatever step by step, but definitely line by line, you are writing some instruction. Number one, do this. Number two, do that. Whatever you are writing, interpreter will convert those into machine language line by line. But compiler is doing what? Scans the entire program and translate it as a whole into machine code. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that you have written the instruction. What compiler is doing? Compiler is reading all the instruction at a time, and then all the instruction will be converted into machine language. A whole. This is the first difference. Second, interpreter. It takes less amount of time. It takes less amount of time to analyze the source code, but the overall execution time is slower. It takes less amount of time to analyze the source code. Source code means what you are writing, the instruction. So maybe as it is doing the line by line, first line convert, second line convert, like that it is doing. So maybe to analyze the code, it is taking some lesser time. But the overall execution time is higher because one by one it is first it is reading, converting. So overall execution is a little higher, but in the case of compiler, it is opposite. It takes large amount of time to analyze the source code, but the overall execution time is comparatively faster than the interpreter. So in short, one line is interpreter is slower, compiler is faster. The reason is this only because compiler is doing all together. So overall execution is definitely fast. Right? Third point, continuous translation the program until the first error is met, in which case it stops. And debugging is very easy. Means line by line it is doing, right? So first line, done, converted. Second line, everything is okay, done, converted. Third line, suppose one error got. So it will not move to the fourth line. It will first check what is the error. You have to rectify the error, then only it will move to the fourth line. So debugging is very easy. Debugging means line by line error, identifying the error and debug. So debugging is easy, but in the case of the compiler, just opposite. Debugging is a little hard because it is it is reading all the code. Then at the last, it is saying at line number 1 some problem, at line number 5 some problem, like that. So debugging is a little hard in compiler, which is very easy in interpreter. Right? Last one. Programming languages like Python, JavaScript, Perl uses the interpreter, and programming languages like C, C++ uses compiler. Right? Hope it is clear. But there is one more concept which is called compiled interpreted. Now, what is that? A compiler can translate the source code into some intermediate form, often called as a P code or bytecode, which is then passed into an interpreter which executes it. Then, this is how the compiled interpreted language runs. So, actually, both. First, it can translate the source code into some intermediate form. Then, which is that intermediate form, that is a different form, which is called bytecode. What is bytecode? I am coming in my future slides only. But that is an intermediate form. So it will first compile into an intermediate form. Then those intermediate form will be converted with the help of an interpreter into the machine code. That's why it is called both compiled interpreted. What is the advantage and everything? I am coming in my next slide. So actually Python is a compiled interpreted language. This, though maximum people are saying that Python is an interpreted language, it's okay. But very in depth, if we want to see, and if we're going to see the proper execution inside what is happening, then we must have to say that Python is a compiled interpreted language. Let's discuss that also. So when we are going to discuss about the Python, then we will discuss this also, that why Python is compiled interpreted, what is the advantage also. So before that, let's see what is Python. Python is easy to write and easy to run language. Very easy. When, as I already mentioned, that I am going to give you a whole series on Python. So as we are moving towards different series, then people will understand it is very easy to write and easy to run language, other than any other language. Python is an object-oriented programming language, definitely. This is also we are going to discuss in depth, but hope everyone has at least the idea about the object-oriented programming language, where the classes and the objects are coming. Right? Next is it's a dynamically typed language. What is dynamically typed language is while you are declaring a variable, you no need to declare the variable and then put the value. Like int c. Like for example, you are writing int c. Int c. Then you are writing c is equal to 10. Then your compiler will understand, okay, c is a int is a type of variable. That's why we are putting 10. In Python, this is not needed. You directly write c equal to 10. Python interpreter will understand that the c is a variable which is of type integer because you put the value as 10. If you write, for example, f is equal to 1.2, your Python interpreter will understand that f is a float because you put the value as a floating number. This is what is called dynamically typed language. You no need to declare the variable type. Python interpreter will decide by themselves. This is the biggest example of Python. It's a compile interpreter, as I already mentioned, but for this, we are going to discuss more in detail. Right? So to understand about why Python is called compile interpreter, not only interpreted, let's see how Python runs. Okay. When a Python software is installed on your machine, wait, don't worry. I am going to show you how to install the Python software also on your machine. But today, I am going to only tell you about what is actually happening behind the scene. Right. So when the software is installed on your machine, minimally it has two things. One is an interpreter, another is a support library. What are those? Interpreter runs your Python code. We are going to see more about interpreter in our next slide. Right, which is going to run your Python code. Support library is what? From the name itself, you can understand, which is going to give you some built-in function or modules or some data types or some files or some libraries, so many things that those libraries are going to give you. Something which is already predefined inside the Python. We are going to only use them. No need to create your own. Something is already ready. Those we can get it from the support libraries. Python support huge number of support libraries. This also we are going to see one by one in future. No need to worry. But these two things automatically comes as soon as you people are installing the software. Right? Support library we are going to see. Now we are going to see about the interpreter. Right? From a programmer's perspective, an interpreter is simply a software which executes the source code line by line, as I already mentioned. It's a software which executes line by line. One line you have written, convert to machine language. Second line, convert to machine language. This is what is interpreter. Interpreter is nothing but a software which can run your Python script. Whatever you are writing, it can be run. C Python is the default interpreter for Python, which is written in C programming language. This is a very important point, remember, for your interview purpose. The Python interpreter is written in C language and the name of the Python interpreter is C Python. As it is, I already mentioned, it is a software, right? So if there is something called software, you have to write that software in some language. So the Python software is written in C language. Now it is the default interpreter for Python. Right? Python's view of interpreter. Now let us go more in depth about the interpreter. I told that C Python is the interpreter for Python. Now what is that? Right. So let us scan through the Python interpreter and try to understand how it works. Have a look at the diagram from below. This is how the Python, as soon as you are writing a source code, the whole Python is executing. This is how simple. First, you are writing your code, whatever you are writing, the instruction, code instruction, whatever. You are writing the instruction number one, number two, number three, whatever. Forget about how you are going to write. Right. So those are the source code. The source code will come inside the interpreter. This whole is the interpreter. Inside the interpreter, there are three things. First one is compiler, then bytecode, then virtual machine. One by one, I am discussing all. Python interpreter contains compiler, bytecode, and virtual machine. After all this is done, then you are going to see the output of your instruction code, whatever you have written. And in the meantime, definitely the libraries will also come into picture. As I already mentioned, if you need something which is already present in the library, you can bring those. So these are the library from where you can bring those. Now let's see this picture, or let's discuss this picture interpreter. So interpreter is made up of two parts, this one. Right. First one is compiler, second one is virtual machine. In between bytecode is coming. So we are going to discuss this also, but mainly it is consist of two parts, compiler and virtual machine. Right? Next, what does compiler do? One by one. First one is compiler, second is virtual machine. So one by one. What does compiler do? Compiler compiles your source code. The statements in your source code means whatever you have written, the statements in your file. Whatever. First, put the water into the boil the water, then put the sugar, then put the tea leaf. Whatever the instruction, those instructions are the source code. Right. Now, compiler is doing what? Compiler compiles your source code. Compiles can transfer your source code into a format known as bytecode. It's not the machine code, remember. Compiler compiles it, but it will convert it into a intermediate code, which is called bytecode. Now, what's that? So, bytecode is number one, a lower level, number two, platform independent, then efficient and intermediate representation of your source code. So actually bytecode is the representation of your source code and it is platform independent. Means what? If your source code is directly converted to machine code, that means it is depends on your machine. Suppose your machine is in Linux, a software installed is Linux, right? So definitely whenever the source code will convert into machine code, that will be converted to the Linux. With those machine code will depends on the Linux environment. But suppose my machine is Windows. So the same source code I converted, but those will be converted into Windows machine code because my machine is in Windows. So whenever the source code is converted into machine code, so machine code is machine dependent. Simple concept. As it is a machine code, definitely it will depend on your machine. It will depend on your machine hardware, software, everything. Right? That means, suppose in future, I am bringing or I am taking my machine code into another machine code. It will not run in another machine. Suppose I have completed my program in Windows and whatever the output, that output I given to you to run, it will not run into your machine because your machine is Linux. This is the problem with platform. And here comes the concept of bytecode. So bytecode is some code which is not understandable by you as a human being. Also, it's not a 0-1 code which will understandable by machine also. No, it's an intermediate code, right? Which is just a representation of your source code. But it's not a machine code. That means it not depends on your machine. Right? Then maybe you are thinking, who will understand? I am not understanding. Machine is not understanding the who will understand my bytecode. Here comes the concept of virtual machine. The virtual machine of Python is known as Python virtual machine. That's why it's written as PVM. Virtual machine of Python is known as Python virtual machine. What is that? As soon as the source code is converted into bytecode, it is fed into PVM, Python virtual machine. The PVM is the runtime engine of Python. Now those bytecode will be understandable by PVM, which is another software. Virtual machine is another software. Right. That will convert your bytecode to machine code. That's why it is called runtime engine. So at this moment only the bytecode is converted to machine code and your code will run. Right? Hope this is clear. If any confusion, please put it into the comment section so that I can reply back to you. Right? Some points you need to remember. Maybe these points we are going to discuss in more detail in future videos. But for the time being, please remember some of the points. Whenever a Python script is executed, the bytecode is generated in the memory and simply discarded when the program exits. Right? If you want me to show you the bytecode, maybe it is not possible for me right now to show you. See, this is the bytecode. Not because as this is why the points to be remembered in Python. As soon as you are writing the script and you run the script, the bytecode is generated on the backend. But as soon as you just exit from the program, it is deleted from the backend. It is not saved for the time being. I can show you, but there is a possibility. If a Python module is important, a .pyc file for the module is generated which contains the bytecode. So there is a .pyc file available which contains the bytecode. Now, what is module and all these things? That's why I told we will discuss it later in more detail. But for the timing, remember, we can't see the bytecode which is generated while running the Python. If you want to see it, it is saved. If you want to see it, you need to save it. And it will be saved in a .pyc file. From there, you can view the bytecode. For this, we have to import some modules. So those we will discuss later, module and all. Right? Now, Python main function. So hope everyone has an idea about main function. Main function is from where the program starts. From where the program starts running. Something should be a main function, right? From where compiler will understand, okay, from here the main program is running. Or maybe if any one of you know about the C language or any other language, you know that there is a function at the very beginning we are writing main, M-A-I-N, or in Java we are writing public static void main. Like that in Python, there is no main function to be written. Python interpreter runs the code right from the first line, so it does not matter whether the main function is present or not. But there is a main function again. This is a very advanced part. For the time being, please remember that as soon as we are going to write a Python code, why I am telling this? Because if you are coming from a different programming language background, maybe at this moment you will search for where is the main function. Why in the Python we are not writing any main function? So that's why I'm telling Python don't contain any main function for the time being. In future, for some advanced part, we will discuss that why main function is not there or is there any main function or whatever the main function. For the time being, don't search for any main in Python. No need actually. Right? So this much for this session. So hope you people understood. If no, any question, please write it in the comment. I will definitely reply you back. And in the next section, we will come up with the next topic, which will be our software installation. So wait and watch. Happy learning. Thank you so much.